The last chapter we're going to be covering in the Foundations book is Chapter 9, On the Job. Our learning objectives for this chapter is to explain what it's like on the job, describe the expectations of moving from school to work, summarize employment options in the real world, practice money management, master selling in the salon or spa, and use marketing to expand your client base. The school environment is way more forgiving, so this is the place where it's okay to mess up because we want to learn and correct those mistakes that we do make while we're in school. And I'm always here to help, so I won't be there when you're working on the job, but during school I am here for questions, and there's typically going to be more leeway in juggling your personal life with your school demands. Also, when you're an employee, you're expected to put the needs of the business and your clients ahead of your own. And even though you're required to be on time and be prepared to perform your scheduled services in school, it's even more so when you're working out in the real world, even regardless of what's happening in your personal life, because you don't want to inconvenience your clients or your coworkers. The first job you get as an esthetician may not be your first pick. You may be asked to do work or perform services that aren't your first choice, but typically it's a good experience and it's a great learning experience. And sometimes places that you work will offer free continuing education classes, so you're able to get more learning experiences and services under your belt before you go out on your own if you wish to do so. In meeting the client's needs, what we're looking to do is put others or the business first. Be true to your word or own up to your mistakes and correct them. Be punctual, so getting to work on time or early to set up. Be a problem solver, so recognizing problems and thinking ways to resolve them. And being a lifelong learner, so you're not going to be perfect right after you graduate. We learn the very basic things, almost bare minimum, of what it takes to be a good esthetician. But if you want to be a great esthetician, it's important to learn new techniques and get more certifications and update your current skills. Being a team player also can relate to school, so strive to help, being you can come in early and help set up or make hot towels if there's going to be hot towels that we need that day, or doing laundry and staying late if things need to be cleaned up or put away. I always appreciate when everyone does that. It kind of helps relieve pressure off of me to get things done if they need to be cleaned up or put away before I leave. Pitching in when you're not busy doing a service, so just taking the initiative and helping out when you see something needs to be done and you don't have anything else to do, is always appreciative. Sharing your knowledge, so if you know how to do something and someone else doesn't, sharing them with how to do something differently or giving some advice is appreciative. Or if you are on the receiving end of getting constructive feedback, being also willing to learn and receive that constructive feedback. Remain positive and also become a relationship builder. So you don't need to make best friends of your coworkers, and it's great and it's awesome if it happens naturally, but you should still be putting in effort to building a good working relationship at the very least. Be willing to resolve conflicts. So conflicts and tension in the workplace can just make the environment very off or off-putting, and some people, like clients, can pick up well when there's tension between people. So if a conflict does arise, you should do your best to resolve it as soon as possible privately with the individual involved, so there's no more off energy in the environment. Be willing to be a subordinate. So at the beginning of your career, you'll be a beginner, so you might be lower on the pecking order. You might have to pick up shifts that you don't want or work weekends, do tasks that are typically not correlated to your aesthetics services. You might be having to clean and doing things like that, but it's good to make the most out of it at first and then also build your clientele, so eventually you'll be too busy to do all of the beginner or the bottom of the totem pole tasks that have to get done anyway. Also, just be sincerely loyal. Our first question is, what workplace principles should you practice to become a good team player? When you do take your first job, there will be expectations on how you'll need to behave, services that you'll need to provide, and how to conduct professionally. And normally you'll be given a job description, and sometimes they're posted even before you apply for the job to know what expectations there are. A job description is a document that outlines the duties and responsibilities for a particular position. If a job for some reason doesn't use a job description, you may want to write one for yourself and present it to your manager for review, so then that way you're both on the same page of what's expected of you and making sure it's clear as possible. Your employee status will determine how you'll be paid. So many beauty professionals work as independent contractors for like a booth renter or a room renter like me, and they're classified as self-employed workers according to the IRS and aren't considered employees for tax purposes. As an employee, you may work on a salary, commission, or salary plus commission basis. You would be expected to be told when and where to work, how to perform your job, and whether there's a uniform required. Clients will also typically be booked for you, and you'll probably won't handle money for services other than tips. And some training may be offered, and some establishments may offer insurance or vacation benefits. As an employee, your employer would be responsible to withhold income and Medicare taxes, pay for Social Security taxes, unemployment tax, and providing you a W-2 form and wage and a tax statement. While your responsibility as an employee is really just to report all of your wages, reporting your tips $20 or more per month, and commission for products and sales, and then also just filing your income taxes every April or whenever tax season is. As an independent contractor, you can rent or work for a percentage of the proceeds of services you perform. However, you have to apply for a tax identification number and provide your own business insurance coverage. You are also responsible for your own income and self-employment taxes and have to receive a Form 1099 MISC from the shop owners when you earn over $600 a year. Although all your business expenses may be tax deductible, all of your income and tips need to be reported, and estimated quarterly tax payments may be required as well. And to prove that you are working as an independent contractor for tax purposes, there must be a written agreement or contract between you and the owner of the establishment, and this agreement must include how you will be compensated for your responsibilities, what is included in the rental, and an end date for your work, and then additional stipulations as required. When set up properly, independent contractor agreements may be renewable, and it's recommended that you seek the guidance of an accountant to ensure that the agreement conforms to federal tax laws. In a booth rental agreement, you are actually setting up a small business, so this requires a contract with the shop owner, appropriate business licenses, insurance, a tax ID number, and tax destination as a booth renter or independent business person. As a booth renter, you lease space from the business owner, and you're solely responsible for your own clientele, your supplies, record keeping, workstation maintenance, and accounting. You would handle all of the money transactions, and you're responsible for booking your own appointments. Usually the only obligation to the owner is the weekly or monthly rent. You should be given a key to the establishment, and you should set your own hours and your schedule. One of the main advantages to booth rental is that you become self-employed for a relatively small investment, and the initial expenses are fairly low and usually limited to the cost incurred for rent, supplies, and products, and then also personal promotion or advertising. However, a good rule to follow is to make sure that your clientele is large enough still to cover all of the overhead cost and still pay your salary. Booth rentals also are more ideal for individuals who are interested in part-time employment or want to supplement another income or prefer to take a stepping stone approach to business ownership. And regardless of the motivation, a booth rental arrangement provides the means for an individual to retain most of the control and decision making as it applies to work schedule and their professional goals. The first wage structure that we'll cover is salary. So salary is being paid an hourly rate. So generally, an introductory hourly rate is based on the minimum wage, but may be higher to encourage new beauty professionals to take a job and stick to it. And if you're offered a salary rate, you're entitled to overtime pay if you work more than 40 hours a week, unless you're in an official management position. Commission is a percentage of the revenue generated from services performed by a professional. Typically, it's offered once an employee builds a loyal clientele, and money paid is a direct result of the total amount of service dollars that you make for the salon or the spa that you're at. Commissions are based on the percentage of total service dollars and typically range from 25% to 70% of the total cost of the service, depending on the length of time with the business and your performance level, or even how beneficial it is having you as an employee. Salary plus commission is also sometimes called a guarantee, since it guarantees the minimum base salary. It motivates employees to perform more services for a commission, so it would be hourly wages plus commission on any of the services, or hourly wages plus commission on retail products that you could sell. When you receive a service at a hotel or a restaurant, you may likely be giving a tip. It's also become customary for clients to do this in the beauty professional industry, and some places may have a tipping policy or a no tipping policy determined on what the business believes is appropriate for the clientele. And tips are just income that is in addition to your regular compensation, and you still must track and report it as income on your tax return. It's also beneficial to do so if you want to take out a mortgage or other types of loans, because you want your income to appear as strong as it really is so you can qualify for more. The best way to keep tabs on your progress is to ask for feedback from your manager and coworkers. And commonly, evaluations are scheduled 90 days after hiring and then also once a year after that. But you should feel free to ask for help and any feedback anytime you feel like you need it. You can ask a professional senior to sit in on one of your client consultations to make notes in areas where you can improve, or ask your manager to observe your technical skills to point out any ways that you can do something more efficient, or have a trusted coworker watch and evaluate your skills when it comes to selling retail products. And all of these evaluations will benefit your learning process enormously. Find a role model. So ask a professional that you work with for advice if they're able to give you some. If you're having a problem, explain your situation and ask if they can mentor you or help you see things differently. Be prepared to listen and not argue your points, and then also remember that you asked for help. So even when your coworker is saying something that you don't want to hear, still thank your coworker for their help and reflect on the advice that you have gotten from them. Question 2 is, what are 3 common employee statuses for beauty professionals? While it's nice to have the freedom of being self-employed as a beauty professional, especially if you're working on your own, you'll have to research and plan for health and dental insurance, retirement accounts, savings accounts, and other things that are typically deducted automatically from an employee's salary. So something to keep in mind. And in addition to making money, responsible adults are also concerned with paying off their debts. So throughout your life in your career, you might incur some debt in the form of a car loan, mortgage, or student loans. And while it's easy for some people to merely ignore the responsibility in repaying the loans, it's extremely irresponsible and immature to accept a loan and then shrug it off the debt. Not paying back your loans is called defaulting, and it can have some serious consequences for your personal and professional credit. The best way to meet all your financial responsibilities is to know precisely what you owe and what you earn, so then you can make informed decisions regarding your finances. So before committing to a loan as well, make sure you understand the payment terms, the interest rate, and then what you can realistically afford. If you receive income that's outside of the income shown on your paycheck, you do have to report it. So any income from tips, cash, or income that may be made outside of your spa or salon that you're working at. And if you do not report that income, there could be serious legal consequences. You could get fines or even jail time for not reporting your income. You would also have decreased in your borrowing power since it is based on your reported income, so you may not qualify for as much money for a loan if you don't show how much money you're making totally. It would also reduce the amount of Social Security benefits for retirement and lowering the Bureau of Labor's endorsement as a sustainable industry, which would lead to decreased availability of federal loans and grants. So something that you could do would be keeping a daily log of income at the end of the week or month and add the total amount of additional income so you can easily report the total cash income for taxes. And then also you should set aside at least, I would say 30% of that income for taxes. For a personal budget, you should keep track of your money and see how much money you need for all of your necessities. And a budget is only good if you follow it. So you should save for big purchases or vacations, so don't just use a credit card for immediate satisfaction. I like to follow the 50-30-20 rule for a personal budget, so that just means after taxes, I spend 50% of the money that I made on needs, so that would be rent, car payment, groceries, food, electricity, utility bills, gas, anything like that. 30% would be on wants, so anything that I would want to have done. So if I want to get my nails done, if I want to get my hair done, if I wanted a cute new outfit, that would be in my 30% of the money that I made. And then 20% on savings or retirement. So 20% of the income that you make should be saved for retirement if you want to retire, or savings if you want to save up for a really big purchase. Another thing to do to practice good money management is to give yourself a raise. So if you want more money, you have to make more money. So spending less money, so you have more money left over at the end of the month, you can invest that into retirement, savings, or pay off debt. Working more hours, of course, so choosing times that are the busiest or times that are more convenient for clients, or come in early or stay later, would be making more money then, of course. Increase service prices, I would say about every year or two if the amount is reasonable. Many people may get annoyed if you're constantly raising your prices, but having a loyal client base or customers that are loyal to one specific person is a good way that you can have more reliable income as well. Retailing more, so selling product is a huge way to make really good money. So if it's a good product, the client will see good results from it, and when they're using proper home care, they will come to you to rebuy, and it is almost passive income at a certain point. Also, it's a really good idea to get advice on finances from a financial planner, or you could also speak to someone from your bank potentially. Question 3 is, what are 4 tips for increasing your income? So ticket upgrading is also called upselling services, and it's the practice of recommending and selling additional services to your clients that they could benefit from. So that would be maybe upselling them from a basic facial to a chemical peel or microdermabrasion if you feel like they would benefit from it. Retailing is the act of recommending and selling products to your clients for at-home use. And again, this is like a really big way to make a lot of money, especially it kind of just becomes passive because you're not really taking any time to do a service, you're just making money off of the sale of the product. For the principles of selling, you should be familiar with the features and the benefits of various products and services that you're offering or that you're trying to sell and recommend to only clients that really need it. Adapt your approach and technique to meet the needs of each personality of each client. So some clients may prefer a soft sell while others are more comfortable with a hard sell approach. Be self-confident when recommending products for sale. It does help when you have good knowledge of the products that you're selling them to. Generate interest and desire in the customer by determining a need. And never misrepresent your services or products, so making unrealistic claims will only lead to your client's disappointment. To sell a product or service, deliver your sales talk in a relaxed, friendly manner, and if possible, demonstrate the use of the product. Recognize the right psychological moment to close any sale, so once the client has offered to buy, quit trying to sell. 5 selling tips is to establish rapport with the client, determine the client's needs, recommend products or services based on these needs, emphasize benefits, and then close the sale. With the psychology of selling, you should consider what motivates your client. So some people just want to buy things or try things out, and they are the easiest to sell to. You should figure out, does the client want to look better? Do they want to feel better? Are they trying to solve a problem? Or maybe they just want a very basic skincare routine. It's important to give honest and sincere advice if a client asks about a product or a service and is undecided or doubtful, because then they will trust you a little bit more. Overcome objections. So for example, if someone has sensitive skin, their objection might be, I'm concerned that this product might be too harsh for my sensitive skin. You could respond, as someone with sensitive skin, I completely understand your concern. The skincare product is formulated with gentle ingredients, specifically designed to soothe and nourish sensitive skin types. Many of my clients with sensitive skin have found it very gentle and effective in improving their skin's condition. Do you want to try a sample to see how your skin reacts? I think you're going to like it. Also, getting the conversation started. So if you're not going to start recommending them stuff, a lot of the times clients won't ask you about what they should be using on their skin. You should ask all of your clients what products they're currently using for home care maintenance for their skin. You can discuss the products that you're using on them. So for instance, if you tell the client why you're using a specific exfoliant or moisturizer and what it's doing for them, you can also explain to the client how they should use the product at home if they were to purchase it. You should place the product in the client's hands whenever it's possible, or at least have the product in view, and then also advise the client on how the recommended service will provide a personal benefit. You should keep your retail areas clean, well lit, and appealing, and inform clients of any promotions or sales that are going on in the salon or spa. Also, be informed about the merits of using professional products as opposed to generic store products. For the best marketing techniques, you should provide a consistently good service and provide a good quality service, and that should be your first concern. Be reliable, so always be courteous, thoughtful, and professional, and always give the client what they're asking for, not something else. And recommend a retail product only when you've tried it yourself or know what it can do and what it cannot do. Be respectful, so being respectful means that you do not gossip or make fun of anyone or anything related to your workplace, because negative energy brings everyone down, especially you. Be positive or optimistic and look for positive in every situation, and it's just something good to know that no one enjoys being around people that are always unhappy. It kind of just brings them down as well. Be professional, so sometimes a client may try to make your relationship more personal than it ought to be, so it's in your best interest and in your client's interest to not cross that line. You could send birthday cards, so when you ask for the client's birthday on the consultation card, you could use that as a tool to get them into your spa again. So about 1 month prior to the client's birthday, you could send the card with a special offer and make it only valid for the month of their birthday. You should ask for your clients' email addresses for communication and rebooking. Utilize social media because the internet is a very powerful medium to build your reputation and attract new clients. Also, it's good practice to casually invite your clients to provide a review, but it's not ethical to pressure anyone to do so. Business card referrals, so you can make some special business cards with your information on it, but leave room for a client to put their name on it as well. So when you do have a client that is clearly pleased with your work, you can give them several cards and ask them to put their name on the card so they can refer their friends and associates to you. And then for every card you receive from a new customer with the client's name on it, you can give them maybe 10% off their next service or a complimentary added service to their next appointment. Have a local business referral. So it's another good way to work with local businesses in your area. You can have a card swap and commit to referring your clients to them when they're in the market for goods or services that your neighbors can provide, and they could do then the same for you. And if it's something that you're good at, you could do public speaking for marketing. So you can make yourself available for public speaking at local groups, the PTA, organizations for younger people, or anywhere else that would put yourself in front of people in your community who are potential clients. The best time to think about getting your clients back into your spa is while they're still there. So it can be a little difficult to assure your clients that you are concerned with their satisfaction on the current visit while you're talking about their next visit, but the two do go together. And the best way to encourage your clients to book another appointment before they leave is to simply talk with them, ask questions, and listen carefully to their answers. Be aware how much time it takes to perform various services and then schedule accordingly. So as you become more and more experienced, you could see a reduction in the amount of time it takes to perform certain services. For aesthetics, it's kind of different. Some of them you may be quicker if you're doing like lashes or waxing. Those would be a little bit quicker, but for basic facials, if the timing is 60 minutes, you're going to be doing 60 minutes no matter what. But that means clients will also wait less if you can decrease the time, and that would increase the number of services you can perform each day. And the increase of services will naturally increase your income. Your first job in the industry is probably going to be the most difficult, but getting started in the business is going to mean spending more time on a steep learning curve. So you should be patient with yourself as you transition from the school you to the professional you. And also you should really make use of the generous and experienced professionals that you'll encounter and let them teach you or mentor you different tricks of the trade. And above all, never stop learning, so always be willing to learn. And our question 4 is, what makes you personally want to purchase a product? So to cover our learning objectives of what we learned, we explained what it's like on the job, we described the expectations of moving from school to work, we summarized employment options in the real world, we practiced money management, we mastered selling in the salon or spa, and we used marketing to expand our client base. And that will finish up our last chapter of the Foundations book that we will cover in this class at least, chapter 9, On the Job.